Hi, my name is Joanna Perandin. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cook a celebratory lunch for family and friends. We're going to be cooking this beautiful 20-day dry-aged top rump joint of beef from Sainsbury's. Now, we did splash out a little bit on this, £16, but for this beautiful piece of beef for 8 of us, that's £2 a head. I think that's good value for money. Now, the first thing you want to do is preheat the oven. And we leave the oven to heat for about 10 minutes. So we'll pop the timer on. What I like to do with beef is I start it off on a high heat for about 20 minutes and then lower it to about 160 degrees in a fan oven. Okay, so while we're preheating the oven, we're just going to unwrap the beef and pop it into the largest baking tray or roasting tray that you have. Right, so we're going to pop that in our tray on its side. I always like my meat to rest and cook on its side like that. Now we're going to keep this beef very, very simple. We just want the really meaty, gorgeous beef flavour to come through. So a little bit of salt, just a sprinkle, and a little bit of black pepper. So, while the oven's preheating and the meat is coming up to room temperature over here with the salt and pepper on it, I'm going to start preparing the vegetables. So with the meal today, we're having carrots, we're having cauliflower cheese, which is a real family favourite and a real treat to go with Yorkshire puddings and roast beef. And we're also having frozen green beans, which I think is a real budget saver and adds another dimension to the meal. So first of all, we're going to peel all our carrots, cut them into rounds and put them in a bowl of water until we need them later on. Now I find that because of my disability and the chronic pain condition I have, that I use a perching stool from the local social services, and I actually perch on this whilst I'm preparing my vegetables. This really does take the strain off my back and my legs. Right, I'm about halfway through peeling the carrots, and as many of you know, with chronic pain and disabilities, it is difficult to hold your arms up and peel carrots for a long time. So what I tend to do is I make sure that I allow myself a lot of extra time to prepare a meal like this. So I've allowed myself 2.5 hours today, and when things get too much, or that I start to feel the pain increase at all, I take a break and bear in mind the pacing techniques. Okay, so we've got the carrots peeled now, and I like to chop mine into nice rounds, a couple of millimetres thick. Now I've allowed about 1 carrot per person. That sounds like quite a lot, but when you're doing a nice celebration meal, I think it's always good to have lots of fresh buttered vegetables with it. Okay, here's my bowl of chopped carrots sitting in cold water, prepared, ready to use later. Now don't forget to put your peelings, your trimmings from the carrots into your compost bin, and it will be recycled. Next we're going to prepare the cauliflower. Now I've taken off the main leaves and stems, now we've just got the stalk. I'm going to cut straight through the middle of the cauliflower. You can see the heart in there. I want to try and remove most of that thick stalk. So I'm going to cut the end off. Then I'm going to cut it in, again in half. And then stand it on one end and slice through the middle to remove the core. Then it's ready to break up into pieces. I'll pop that in a pan. I'm now very proud to present our beautiful joint of beef. Now this needs to rest for 10 minutes before we can carve it. So I'm just going to cover it with foil. Turn off the cauliflower. Grab the foil. Pop it over the meat. Leave it to rest. And now we have to strain the cauliflower. We pop the cauliflower into the baking dish. And we cover it with the Sainsbury's 3 cheese Italian pasta sauce. So I've just tipped the cold pot of sauce into the dish. Grab a spoon, gently mix the sauce with the cauliflower. Make sure your cauliflower is well coated so everybody gets a nice cheesy flavour on their cauliflower. And add a spoonful of black pepper. And then we're going to top that off with some grated cheese. And my guests are just about to arrive. I like to go quite generous with my cheese.
Hi, Jen.
Hello! Hello, Dane!
Oh.
I'm just recording my cookery video for Sainsbury's.
Yeah, Mum's doing music.
Hello, Dane. Take the heart out of this one. Break it into little florets. And do the same again with the other half. Stand it on one end, cut down the middle, take out the stalk and the heart, break it into florets. Now a handy hint is to remember what time you put the meat in. It does help later on with the timings for a roast dinner. So I've checked the clock and it's 10 to 4, so I'll write that on my piece of paper. So we're back in the kitchen. The meat's been in the oven for 40 minutes now and it's time to turn on the water to parboil our potatoes. So as you can see, I've got a large pan here full of cold water. I put it on the biggest ring and turned it on. Meat's looking lovely and brown on the outside, which is what we want. But that's still got another half an hour. No, it's done. So the meat's got another 50 minutes to cook. Hi, I'm feeling well rested after my little break there. Now the water in the potatoes is just starting to come to the boil. So I'm just going to stir them around a little bit to make sure they cook evenly. Then what we want to do is continue boiling those for 10 minutes, but you need to keep a little eye on them to make sure the water doesn't boil over now. So I'm just going to put it on for 5. The potatoes have just had another 5 minutes. I'm just going to give them another little stir, and then I just want to check with a knife how they're doing. So you just need like a sharp vegetable knife. Okay, so these potatoes are still hard, so we're going to give those another 5 minutes. I'm just going to have a quick look at the meat, see how it's doing. Smells good. Now we come to one of my favourite parts of cooking a roast dinner, and that's where we strain the potatoes, we put the oil into the roasting tray to heat up, and we kick off our roast potatoes. So I'm just going to strain this water. Strain these potatoes very carefully into a colander. Just set those aside for a moment. Pop the beef out of the oven. Now what I like to do next is actually tip my potatoes back into the pan. Add some sunflower oil. That's a generous couple of dessert spoons of sunflower oil, and the same with olive oil. And then we pour them into the roasting tin around our meat. Oops. We had an escapee there. Okay, so our potatoes are on to roast. I've popped the meat into a different tray with half a glass of red wine and some water just to keep it nice and moist. And now I'm parboiling the cauliflower for our cauliflower cheese. I'm going to get a dish ready for the cauliflower.
Where's my phone?
I'm filming.
Oh, good, run outside.
Here's my dish for the cauliflower. So that cauliflower will take 10 minutes to cook. I'm going to put a timer on for, well, I want to cook my potatoes for 35 minutes. I think so I'm going to put this on for 10 minutes till the cauliflower's cooked. And then see where we are. Okay? Now this is where it starts to get exciting for me. I love the bit where you can smell all the flavours of the meat just mingling together in the kitchen. It starts my tummy rumbling. This is the best bit. Okay, so the next job is going to be to prepare the parsnips. I've actually cheated here. I'm using Aunt Bessie's honey roasted parsnips, which I'm just going to get out of the freezer. So I just need a small tray. Not many people in the family like parsnips. I think there's only 3 of us that like parsnips. Now one of my top tips is I always like to line my trays generally with foil. That way it makes your pans much easier to clean. And what else do we have on the list? So we've got roast beef, potatoes, parsnips, cauliflower cheese, green beans, carrots, gravy, horseradish sauce and our Yorkshire puddings. Okay, so our meat's going to be coming out shortly to rest. The parsnips need about 20 minutes. So we'll put them on about 15 minutes after we started the potatoes. So yeah, it's about another 8 minutes. So I know it sounds complicated, but don't worry about the timings because we'll make all that information available to you at the end of the show. Okay, my parsnips are ready to go in the oven in a few minutes. I'm just going to get the green beans out of the freezer and pop them in a pan, ready to cook shortly. Now I allow about a clean handful of green beans per person. So we're cooking for 8. Now using frozen green beans, you still get a lot of the vitamins that are in the natural vegetable when it's picked. You get a nice fresh flavour, but you also save lots of money. So that's our green beans ready. I'm just going to fill the kettle ready for boiling some vegetables. Our beaver's gone off, our meat's ready to come out of the oven.
That's really food.
What, the video?
Okay, so the cauliflower cheese needs about 25 minutes, so I'm going to pop that in the oven now.
2 messages. Got 2 messages. Joe Gardner.
So the potatoes have got 20 minutes to go. I'm going to pop in the parsnips. Check your potatoes, they might need turning. I find a spoon and a fork works well. Okay, so these are sticking at the moment, which means we need to leave them to cook for a bit longer. Otherwise we'll just take off the skin when we move them. Okay, so the meat's rested, the potatoes are nearly done, the parsnips and the cauliflower cheese are nearly done. Now I'm going to put the carrots on. I've just boiled the kettle. That'll take about 10 minutes. Okay, so next, find my carving fork. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can slice this as thinly as possible. I'm going to cut the strings first. To me, carving the meat is always the surprise element. Always terrified that it's going to be undercooked or overcooked. So we're going to try and slice this as thinly as possible. That looks beautiful.
Is dinner ready yet?
Nearly. Just carving the meat. What?
Hang on, I've just got to get me a drink. Go on.
Mom! Hello? Hiya.
Do you need me?
Yeah.
What can I do? Hello, Dave.
I'm struggling to carve the meat.
Are you?
Also, it's supposed to serve 6 to 8, and I'm like, really?
I think you're doing really well.
I know, I just got worn out. My eyes aren't very sharp, I don't think. Right, better get my Yorkshires out. Boil the kettle again for the green beans. Oh, good.
What did you pull a face to anyway a minute ago? What's that? The phone. Oh, it's fine.
Oh, so you've been banging on about it.
Oh, I know, Joanna.
Mum,
For a week. And I mean, God almighty, I've got to fit in.
Mum, I really need help with finding my phone. Dad
not
refuses
deliberate,
to
I'm
help
not-
me.
You know, yeah. It's just, he just doesn't ever
That
give up. He
refuses to-
texts me every 10 minutes. Bank card! Oh, half a bank card. Oh, I put it in there. Should I put it in there?
Right, I'm sticking the Yorkers in now. They will just have to be a bit soggy.
For what?
I'm going to cook potatoes for cardboard and too long,
Oh, right.
so they went a bit mushy.
Okay.
I'm just
Oh,
hoping
right.
that they'll be crispy and mushy. Soft on the inside and crispy on the outside, but who knows?
Lovely.
Could go either way. This one.
Patrick, could you put the iron somewhere, but I've got no idea where.